ukuthi nje ngithandiwe, ngithandiwe, hayi ngoba ngingcwele.
Gentlemen, just like to thank you all for coming to Khoro Makhesha's memorial. Just a bit of some house rules. Can everybody's phones please either be switched off or be put on silence, as we don't want to be rude when guests are speaking. Secondly, for the ladies' toilets, when you exit the door on your right to the corridor, you enter the doors on your first left. That is the ladies' toilet. Alternatively, when you come out here, go to your left on the first right is the ladies' toilet. For the gentlemen, when you go down the stairs, past the fish pond on your right, where you enter to the gate, the gentlemen's toilets are there. I'd just like to thank Kiss for hosting us, for hosting the memorial. Mr. Lovatt, thank you so much for your time and the facilities. The family really does appreciate it. To the friends and family that came out, thank you for your time and thank you for supporting us with this. At this time in need and sadness. Our MC for tonight will be Refiloe Mphirini, who will then conduct the service going further. So I'd just like to call him up. Thank you.
K-Mac, Sash, Khoro Makhesha. What a guy, gents. What a guy. I feel like we all know from the bottom of our hearts the person that we all have lost, family and friends. I'm gonna try my best not to cry today. It's already starting early, so yeah, it's gonna be pretty tough. Before I even start, I just want to say that I was just observing Khoro's parents before the service, and it truly just seemed to me that his spirit was living through them. The radiant smile in Khoro's dad's face as he's greeting everybody coming in. The radiating warmth from Khoro's mother as she's introducing herself to Khoro's friends. That's a true culmination of Khoro's personality. And this brings me to the first thing that I want to share with you guys. The first thing I ever met Khoro, the first time I ever met Khoro, and he allowed me to meet his parents. That's one of the things that really stuck with me forever. I was thinking, damn, wow, what a lucky guy. You have really awesome parents. Parents who are holistically involved in all their children's life. When I heard these news, the first people I thought about were Khoro's parents. The amount of time, suffering, sacrifice Khoro's father had to go through, as Khoro repeatedly always told me, the things his dad had to do for him to be in a good school, for him to go to a good university, for him to become the man he became, was a true indication of the kind of person that we have here. Thank you so much, sir, ma'am, for raising a diligent, smart, warm-hearted, hard-working, handsome young man. And I just want you guys to know that we are with you in your prayers and in this difficult time. So without wasting any more time, I would just like our pastor for today to lead us in prayer. Pastor Pumza, can you please come forward and take it? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Normally I'm able to start the prayer in song, but as we can all bear testimony, it is a difficult moment. There's a song that comes to mind that says, "We bless your name, Almighty God. We bow before your you so much. I stand here as a pastor, a friend to the Makhesha family. Our children grew up together. And I stand briefly, I'm probably going to just be 2-3 minutes just to share the word of God around this occasion. Khoro, I was laughing. It is my first time, sir, in this yard. I don't think I would have been allowed under normal circle because I'm not a boy. So it is my first time here, and I love the place I'm in. I'm not sure I'll be invited again because I'm not a boy again. But I want to greet the Happy Socks family. I see everybody's donned in happy socks. I could not find happy stockings, so my sincere apologies. Khoro is a child in the Makhesha clan, Makhesha household. The name Khoro, I am told, has many meanings. It can mean a gate, it can mean a door. A gate in the African sense is where the elders will sit and gather and make decisions. It is a place of entry in a city. If you have not negotiated your way through the Khoro, you will not enter that city. If you do not know how to sit with the elders and present your case, you will not be heard. So that I know sometimes we say, hey, Khoro, Khoro, Khoro. But at least after today, you will know, oh, okay, that man was a gatekeeper. He was not an elder, but he may have been an assistant elder by virtue of his name. And in the legal fraternity, he mediated, he arbitrated, he became an elder by virtue of his profession. What I want to share to you today is that the world we live in is full of pressure from all sides. What the prophet Joel says in Joel chapter 2, he says this pressure, he pictures it as if it is like a horde of horses coming down. He says the pressure is like fire that has been lit near a stubble of hay, where the fire constantly consumes. This is the pressure that we feel, people of God, as we live in this earth. And so it's important to have moments like these where we can share around the word of God to strengthen our hearts so that we do not grow faint. David is pressurized in his meeting with King Abimelech. I'm going to share shortly just one verse, if you will allow me. In Psalms chapter 34, he's pressurized when he meets with Abimelech, a Philistine king. But he says that those who look to God are radiant in the pressure that he was feeling, in the dire straits of his life at that moment. The Bible says that he pretended to be mad. You know, when you don't know how to get out of a situation, you play as though you are mad. He pretended to be mad. But he pens down Psalms 34. But he says, those who look to him are radiant. Their faces shall never be ashamed. But the next verse says, this poor man cried, and the Lord heard him and saved him out of all his troubles. It's interesting that he would say this poor man, because if the poor man does not cry, the next portion of the verse cannot happen. So the poor man, that is you and I, we need to cry to the Lord in our dire situation so that the Lord can hear. The next verse says the Lord encamps around those who fear him. So there needs to be not a fear as in, oh, I'm afraid, but there needs to be a reverent fear for God as we stand before him. But also, more importantly, amongst men, there needs to be a cry, brothers, when you are not okay. David cried. If King David cried, how much more the rest of us? Can I let that sink in? Okay. So I'm going to ask just we bow our hearts and we pray. Father, we thank you that we are found at Kes this afternoon. It is truly by your design that we could be gathered here. Father, here are your children, here are your sons, Lord. Many have grown up there in their own professions. They feel the pressures of this life that Joel speaks about. But I pray this afternoon that let there be a turning point in our young men. Let them learn how to cry to God in their dire situations. I pray for the peace of God today that passes all human understanding, that he may guard their hearts and their minds in Christ Jesus. Amen.
formidable force, an unwavering spirit, a peace bringer, and an unshakable soul. That's what Khoro was to all of us. I don't think Khoro's mom knows this, but she actually paid for the ticket to my first flight ever. The first time I was ever on a plane, it was because of her and Khoro. I'd spoken to Khoro about my inability to join him at Matric Vac due to some financial constraints, and he took it upon himself to get my ID. Don't know how he managed to do that. I don't know how he managed to swindle his mom, convince her to just make it a double ticket. But ultimately, it was me and Khoro on that plane, and I was thinking, wow, this is actually kind of crazy. I'm not gonna tell him that it's my first time on a plane. That's gonna kill my coolness score. So I kept that to myself, and I think today would be the perfect day for me to let you know that you were the reason for me to go on my first plane ever, and thank you for that. And during our preseason rugby era, I remember myself and Khoro had to go home after practice, and I had to return the favor. I was like, okay, it's awesome that you got me the plane thing. Well, I need to do something. What is within my capacity at the time? I'm like, okay, I think we should try and take a taxi home, right? For the first time. Khoro's generally, he was a very awkward person. If anyone truly knows him, he was a little awkward, a little awkward individual, always in tune with himself. So yeah, he was down for the idea. We decided to take a taxi, and this was probably one of the most awkward moments of my life. I think it was more awkward than Cristiano Ronaldo playing for the Sharks with the cricket helmet on. Or Michael Phelps running a marathon with the javelin in his hand. So that was a very good experience for both of us. It exposed, a lot of things about Khoro and myself, and we were able to grow in that moment. And, just for the rugby guys and the guys that were with at school, I don't know if you guys remember, I was just thinking now how exaggerated Khoro's sidestep was. Do you guys remember how far he used to stretch that leg out, eh? Now, if you think about it. But without wasting any more time, I'd like to just introduce the headmaster of the school, Mr. Lovatt. He's going to be talking to us today. Thank you.
Thank you to the Master of Ceremonies. It is my great pleasure to stand here today and to be asked to say a few words about Khoro Makhesha. Firstly, to the family, a warm welcome to you and my sincerest condolences and commiserations on the loss of such a wonderful young man. When Sizwe approached me earlier this week, he asked if the school would mind hosting a small gathering. I did not hesitate. Khoro was a much-loved member of our school, and we sort of deliberated about where we'd host this meeting. He said, no, don't worry, the auditorium will be far big enough. There'll only be a few friends here. I think maybe we needed to have moved this to the school hall. It is just so sad that 10 or 12 days ago, his class group gathered here to celebrate their 10-year reunion. And to see so many of the class back here under these very sad circumstances. I think 2013 was always a challenging year at school for many, many reasons that the boys know about. I joined the school in late 2012, in fact in November, and Khoro was in the very first matric group in my first year full-time here. I thus had very little time to get to know him, but I'd like to share my own memory of this young man. Yeah, he was Khoro Makhesha, 12D. And I looked at a class photograph and sitting next to him was one Marco Engelbrecht, who will speak to us later today. A Gordon House boarder, matriculated from King Edward. I took out his matric certificate, or a copy, and I see he matriculated with a 75 comma something % average. He was, I've heard from those who taught him, a very studious child who always aimed to do his very best. He was identified as a student leader and he was appointed as a school prefect. He excelled at sport and he was a key member of the Reds rugby team, playing on the wing. He was a fine athlete, represented both his school and his province. He was an accomplished sprinter, long jumper and triple jump athlete. He was, as I read today, going through the magazine and was reminded, he was a member of our winning inter-high relay team with Tevin, Menzi and Godfrey, and I see Godfrey here today as well. And what's interesting is that Khoro still holds 2 athletics records at this school. The under-16 triple jump at 14.18 centimeters, and that he achieved in 2011, and he still holds the under-17 400 meter hurdles record, run in 59.78 seconds, and that he did in 2012. Mr. Thorne, who spent quite a bit of time with him, as he does with many of our boys on the athletics track, sent me this little message today, which I'd like to read to you. His memory of Khoro was just a nice kid with an amazing disposition. He was a true gentleman, impeccably dressed at all times, and Khoro took immense pride in both his uniform and his sports kit. He had an eye for detail and was passionate about the school. He always gave of his very best and he excelled both in and outside the classroom. He was the epitome of a King Edward VII school gentleman, and he carried himself with grace and dignity. He was a real role model for the younger learners as he walked the walk. He was someone who just did it, as opposed to someone who spoke of it. And that ends the quote by Mr. Thorne. I note that after school, Khoro had an outstanding university career, studying a BSOC Science and an LLB, and he was busy with his Masters in Tax. And I also note with great pride as a headmaster that he appeared on the Dean's list no less than 4 occasions. On Friday last week, whilst we were in the staff room at break, Marco and Sheldon, who both teach here and were class of 2013, came to inform me of the news that Khoro had sadly passed. Seeing the utter devastation on their faces reinforced what Khoro had meant to them as a friend and to all his classmates. I know that his death has had a profound effect on the school and all those who knew him. I have no doubt that there are many unanswered questions, and that many in the room are still asking that question today: why Khoro? What has happened? These are questions, I'm afraid, that we cannot answer. Only God has these answers, and all we can do is to seek His guidance and His wisdom. We know that He has a greater purpose for Khoro, and in that we must seek comfort. I just share the following with you, which I've sadly had to share on a number of occasions in my tenure here at King Edward VII School, when one of our young men has sadly passed. When I come to the end of the road and the sun has set for me, I want no rites in a gloom-filled room. Why cry for a soul set free? Miss me a little, but not too long, and not with your head bowed low. Remember the love that we once shared. Miss me, but let me go. For this is a journey that we all must take, and each must go it alone. It is all part of the Master's plan, a step on the road to home. When you are lonely and sick at heart, go to the friends we know, and bury your sorrow in doing good deeds. Miss me, but let me go. Spirit of life and mystery, we pause now to be still, to breathe in each moment of life with a sense of gratitude for its gifts, its beauty of love and grace. We pause to affirm the cycles of life and death, for we know that we are all part of an endless and mysterious cycle of existence. We trust that beyond this absence there is a presence, that beyond the pain there can be a healing, that beyond the brokenness there will be wholeness, that beyond the anger there may be peace, that beyond the hurting there may be forgiveness, that beyond the silence there may be the word, that beyond the word there may be understanding, and that through this understanding there is love. Just to echo what the pastor has said and our MC said earlier, I encourage you to cry, particularly the young men. I encourage you to express your feelings. We're in a day and age now where it's not uncool. It is important, and I think that it is something we must all learn to do. In closing, Khoro is a real son of this place, and as we say at this school and we echo so often, sons of this place, let this of you be said, that you who live are worthy of their dead. Amen. And blessings to the family and courage over the next time as you get through this difficult period. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your son with us. He was a great son of this place.
Gents, I'm just seeing Jongi and Mo walking in late now. I'm just thinking some things just never change. 10 years later, my goodness. Gosh, but yeah, just to reiterate what Mr. Lovatt was saying, he mentioned that Khoro was a role model to a lot of the younger guys, and the crazy thing about Khoro was he was just a role model to everyone, you know. Khoro had this ability to really, he had influence without even like trying. He had this reverberating presence that was just there on its own. Like Mr. Lovatt like mentioned, he was on the dean's list, he had a record, he did this and that. I'm saying this like this because that's really what we all like used to, like when it comes to Khoro. He ran, he ultra marathon, you know. These are all things that Khoro did, and that's how we all knew Khoro. He was a high performer, he was an optimal human being, but he did all of those things with grace. He never did that stuff to impress anyone. He never did that stuff to, you know, to show anybody that he's better. He did it to empower people and to make himself proud. And I'm gonna call on Marku now. I think he'll share a little bit more for us on that. Thank you.
You are holy. Mamuranda wanazoro. Mamuri andina.
Evening, everyone. Thank you, Ref. I didn't know you could speak this well, so if we had known, we probably would have invited him to our wedding. Would have been a lot cheaper than what we paid. So, just on behalf of the Kingwood family, it's awesome to have you all here. It's awesome to see familiar faces. It is obviously with a heavy heart that we have to say goodbye to our champion, our friend, who's obviously left us unexpectedly. Obviously, despite the short time we had with Khoro, we were blessed to have known such a kind and compassionate person. Makhesha had an infectious smile and warm heart that touched the lives of everyone he met. He had a passion for life, as Mr. Lovatt said. He had attention to detail, and he was always willing to lend a helping hand to those he met along his journey. As the class of 2013, we'll never forget the true Gordon House stalwart. We tried to convince him to come to the big old mighty Buxton, but he was very committed to the 9 or 10 of you Bertus in Gordon. As said before, the athletics champion, led by example, walked the walk, ultra marathon runner, and ultimately for us, the close friends, the true red try scoring machine. I'd just like to take my own little time to share a little story with you, maybe as parents. We went our separate ways. I wasn't as smart as Khoro to get into UCT. So I had to go to the university down the road at UJ. And life wasn't as lack as what it is here, what it is there, clearly. So I never forget, we played, myself and Godfrey in the Young Guns team. We go down, and the field there is called the Green Mile. It's very windy. It's quite crazy to kick a ball there. So as a fly-off, it was a big challenge. And we were playing against two former Cares boys, being in Bradley and Khoro being on the wing. And I never forget, into the wind in the second half, you're trying to exit your ball, and I had to kick the ball, and I kicked it straight down only one man's throat, and it was Khoro Makhesha. So obviously you only kick about 5 meters because the wind brings the ball back. And I could remember seeing the look on this guy's eye or his face when he saw Marco in front of him, and he didn't hesitate to go into the fancy step Refiloe was talking about, and he just knew one way, and he tried to go straight over me. I'm happy to say that at least I came out on top. But what was interesting was, I think it was his demeanor afterwards. During a game, Malas was my nickname, and he sort of helped me up after I tackled him, and I said to him, why would you try that? He says, brother, dynamites come in small packages. It is hard to make sense of such a sudden loss, but let us take comfort in the memories and moments we shared with Khoro. Let us remember him for his strength, his courage, and his unwavering spirit. Champion, you'll always be with us in our hearts and our memories. To the family, I want you to know that we share in your grief and offer our love and support during this difficult time. We may not fully understand why things happen the way they do, but we can find solace in the knowledge that Khoro is now at peace and watching over us. As said before, son of this place, let this of you be said, that you who live are worthy of your dead. Thank you.
Alright guys, so Khoro had this alluring presence. He was very timid, calculated, with laser sharp focus. He did everything at top level. I will not remember the runs that I had with Khoro, nor will I miss them. If you guys remember, you were not an athlete, and I'm sure Nkonde can agree to this. You were not an athlete if you didn't have the long Adidas tights. Sizwe had them as well. You know, they used to run together, do the whole athletics like warm-up thing. And I remember, you know, trying to run with these guys. I wasn't a natural endurance runner or endurance athlete, but Sizwe and Nkonde and Khoro were, you know, and I was very competitive, as I would like to think all Cares boys are. So when someone is better than you at something, whether you tell him or not, you always trying to beat him. And to this day, even without Khoro here, I never managed to come even close. Whenever I ran with him and Sizwe, it was like 2 Ferraris running with an I-10. Who do you guys think will win? Obviously the I-10. You know, so as a result, for the preservation of their confidence, I decided to retire early and to let the boys do their thing. So I'm gonna pass the mic over to a very close friend of Khoro's, Jody Sanders. He will share a few memories with us as well. Thank you.
Sorry.
Good afternoon. This is sad. I've cried, and I may still cry. That's no lie. It's hard saying this kind of goodbye. But I know you're soaring high in the sky. You're with God now. You were a great man, we can't deny. I just wish I could have said goodbye. Khoro, my brother, I know you're up there smiling, but we are crying. I know you're looking down on us, but heaven has gained a big plus. I can hear you saying, looking too fresh, my boy, shaking my hand, giving me a hug. But it really sucks to get dressed up for this kind of occasion. This is no sensation, this is a devastation. Just wish we could have had one last conversation. We lost a great man. You had a great reputation. God will open his gate. The angels are going to have a celebration. It hurts, but we will celebrate you. You are one of my best classmates. That's no debate. There was never hate. You were like a brother, but now I promise to pray for your mother, your father, your sister, and your brother. You really were like no other. When I heard the news, I burst into tears. Losing a close friend is one of your biggest fears. But you'll always be in my prayers. I know you're sitting up there with God upstairs. We all know you were an exceptional athlete. Your mentality was elite. Like I've said, you were a brother, solid as concrete. You are obsolete. You always knew when to bring the heat, but at the same time, you're always so kind, always so sweet. I can still hear your laugh. We can all still hear your laugh. Always smiling, dedicated to your craft. When I watched you run, you looked and moved like art. You had the most beautiful heart. You've made your mark on our hearts. It's sad to say that there's nothing left for you to chase. God has called you. You've run your race. But we'll never forget your face. You've left your mark on this place. I know God has you. He's definitely made some space. This is just so hard to face, but we'll keep going and be strong like you running your last race. It hurts, but I know you're experiencing God's grace. It's no debate. We all have our fate. We never know when it's our date. So let's all work hard before it's too late. We'll always remember your name. We'll work hard and make you proud. Boys, let's work hard and grow. Let's not remain the same. Khoro, I'll make you proud and sit with the right crowd. You were a part of that crowd. I wish you were still around. I just want you to know you were enough. You were special. You were exceptional. You were always so professional. You always had discipline and determination. Now that is a true sensation. We always learn from you. We will follow your habits to experience that kind of liberation. I promise to do it now. No more procrastination. I'll never forget when you cut your knee, but you found a way to push through. You always had a strong mentality. That's how you got your degree. You were a candidate attorney. But now we sit and pray on our knees. Our hearts bleed. We've lost a brother. I'll always pray for your mother, your father, your sister, and your brother. You really were like no other. Khoro, I'll miss you, my brother. This hit me deep. We all weep. This is deep. Rest easy, my brother. Sleep. Khoro, I'll miss you, my brother. Thank you for everything. God, thank you for everything. Amen.
I just want to thank Jody for the microphone adjustment. I didn't know how to do it without exposing my height. So now I'm good. If you guys remember, Khoro had this little dance move that he did to kind of hide away the fact that he didn't have a variety of moves in his arsenal. Kind of went like this. He'd always just do this when he listens like to music, and he'd always just keep it here. And I used to wonder and ask myself, like, how does guys look so cool with like minimal effort all the time? You know, like he never ever tried to be extra, but somehow he always looked really, really cool. I know he did get a bit of extra help from his sister with the outfits though, because yeah, he was a little advanced back in the day, wearing the white DC loafers, cage. I'm sure you can remember that, with the gray double-breasted cardigan that made us all go crazy, you know. He had the occasional spectacle readjustment flair in between his dance move, and that was really just Khoro for us. Khoro taught me. He taught me a lot about music. He taught me how to listen to soft music without feeling weird about it. You know, there's a artist or a group called Daughter, um, XXX, Coldplay. I never thought I'd be listening to Coldplay, you know, and I'm a Khoro and it's bothering my head. I'm like, who's that? Like Coldplay, Maroon 5, Mac Miller. You know, if anyone knows, we all know that Khoro loved Mac Miller. That was one of his favorite artists of all time. Khoro, Khoro encouraged me and encouraged me to become a very avid reader. And with Marcus saying that I'm a good speaker now, I think a certain portion of it can be attributed to the fact that Khoro was a big reader, and I think that was highly influenced by his father. Because when I visited his house, I'd act like I read books too, like, you know, like, this is our thing, this is what we do, and that got me into Khoro's dad's good books. Like, "Oh, you guys read and run?" I'm like, yeah, that's what we do, you know. That's just us. So that was like really really nice. He didn't even know that he was encouraging me to read, because he'd just read books on weekends, and I'm like, okay, is this what we're doing? We reading books on a Saturday, you know. But that was something very important, you know, that his parents had instilled in him, and that obviously transcended and filtered through into his friends' lives. And we can say that a lot of important things were learned through our relationships and engagements and times that we spent together. Without wasting any more time, I'd like to call up one of Khoro's childhood friends, Sipho Danana, just to talk a little bit more about the boy for us. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Sipho, and yeah, this is what is coming from my side. So, dear Sash, you lost cut a young man deep. I use your nickname for this speech because it helped me with the grief. I speak on behalf of the king of the niche, whom I always admired. I guess now it's just time to say goodbye. I was feeling down, questioning beliefs, but right now, I'm up and I'm within. I cannot choose to feed into the pain, because your memory is nothing short of happiness and euphoria. I want to thank you for your time, your energy, and your efforts. A true one of one who gave of himself so selflessly. To me, Khoro can be described as a true leader by natural selection. A more noble and humble individual has never been placed on this earth outside of him. To define what a leader means to me is someone who knows the way, goes the way, but more importantly, shows the way. And Khoro always had the answers, Sway. He taught me not to chase your dream, but rather to design it. A perfectly balanced human is all you should ever aim to be. And if you removed all the materials from the earth, what are you living for? Today I feel like I have the answer to that question, which is to leave the world better than how you found it. Thank you for bringing purpose and love into my life. I know this life is only a temporary existence. And on the day you left, Joburg had some abnormally cold weather. In turn, your departure had me feeling exactly the same.
Looking at our photographs, many lives were shed. I stand proud today in knowing that there was no tighter relationship in my life than ours. Old memories have me wishing that we stayed young. Khoro was definitely in the league, and nobody had a better three. LeBron James and Dwayne Wade, Toretto and Brian, Mike and Marcus are a few analogies that come to mind if I had to describe our relationship. You see, me and Khoro were the same age, but Khoro was literally my bigger bro. And at this moment right now, spiritually I can say we are in the same boat. If you really knew Sash, then you really know me. I look around and I know Khoro left his mark. Mission accomplished, Toretto. Now it's just time for that last ride. I will forever be attached to you. I'm forever thankful that you gave me bouquets of flowers while I could still smell them. And in return, I did the same. When you get to heaven's gates, please greet my father for me, who you know was very much so fond of you. Anonive, Uncle Patrick, Zuli, Bendu, my heart has nothing left internally. But because you guys have accepted me into a family, I know I'll always have a home at the Makhesha residence. I'd like to leave you all with a quote from the great J. Ivy, which has resonated with my soul in memory of Khoro, and I hope it does the same for you. We are all here for a reason on a particular path. You don't need a curriculum to know that you're a part of the math. People think I'm delirious, but I'm so damn serious. That's why I expose my soul to the globe, the world. I'm trying to make it better for these little boys and girls. I'm not just another individual. My spirit is a part of this. That's why I get spiritual. But I get my hymns from him. So it's not me, it's he that's lyrical. I'm not a miracle. I'm a heaven-sent instrument. My rhythmic regimen navigates melodic notes for your soul and your mental. That's why I'm instrumental. Vibrations are what I'm into. Yes, I need my lute by Rente, but that's not what gives me the heart of Kunta Kinte. I'm trying to give us free like Sinke. I can't stop. That's why I'm hot. Determination, dedication, motivation. I'm talking to you and my many inspirations. When I say I can't let you or self down. If I were on the highest cliff, on the highest roof, and you slipped off the side and clenched onto your life in my grip, I would never let you down. And when these words are found, let it be known that God's penmanship has been signed by a language called love. That's why my breath is felt by the deaf, and my words are heard and confined to the ears of the blind. I too dream in color and in rhyme. So I guess I'm one of a kind in a full house, because whenever I open my heart, my soul, or my mouth, a touch of God rains out. Khoro, rest in peace, my Brody. Till the next time.
Man, what a sad time. I'm just listening to Sipho talking about nicknames and the nickname that he gave to Khoro. I remember there was a time in 2020, 2021, I was in the shower, and that's usually when great ideas come. And I was, when you do that, I'm sure we've all done that once or twice because of a lack of mobility. And I thought to myself, I was like, Khoro, Corona, coronavirus, I'm like, damn, great nickname for my boy. And I DM'd him immediately. I'm like, my boy, I figured it out for us. It's over. Everything is sorted. And I told him the name that I had gotten for him, and I didn't get a response from him at that time. The last time I saw Khoro, he was coming from Cape Town on holiday, after varsity, and you know, Khoro was always weird, but when he came back from Cape Town the first time, he added some sauce to the, cause Cape Town hippie vibes. He just wanted to pull through, come and chill and hang out and just catch up. He drove to me. I was staying in Brom at the time. We decided to go to Kitchener's. Listen to this guy who he literally, that guy we're listening to, literally, I'm not even joking. He looked like half Jacob Zuma, half Albert Einstein, and he was playing acoustic guitar. So, and Khoro was enjoying that. So okay, if Khora's enjoying it, I guess it's meant to be enjoyed. And he was doing his little bob thing. If you know him, this is all he did. This is all he did. Safe move, spectacle adjustment, and I sat there just like wondering. I'm like, is this what we're doing? I've been seeing you like 2 years. Is this really? Are we not gonna catch up, talk a bit? He was just really in the moment. He was really in his element. And in that period in time, I just learned to see how this guy is such a genuine, honest, in the moment, non-pretending kind of human being, He was just really there. He was present. He was truly enjoying the music. He was drinking water. Like, he was literally drinking water. I was not drinking water. I must be honest, But Khoro was drinking water and just enjoying himself. I'm like, just some water, some good music, and good company. Whether we're talking or not, your presence, your energy for me is good enough. And that was a very compelling moment for us. And I learned a little bit more about my relationship with Khoro. It was always just, let's just be present. Let's just be here. Let's not try be anything specific. Let's not try outdo each other in anything, even though sometimes I did try to surpass him in certain things. Without wasting any more time, I'd just like to call a family a tribute. When I look at this guy, Bindu, it's been a while since I've seen him. I don't know if he remembers me like very well, but I always thought, what a lucky guy, hey? Like, this is your sister and this is your brother. You have to be cool. Like, I mean, you can't wearing the college varsity thingy, the earrings. He's gonna come up for us now and just chat a little bit about his bigger brother. Thank you.
Yeshua, Adonai, the Lord our Master. Oh, you are you. Oh, Adonai.
Hello everyone. I'm sure it's a bit surreal for my brother's high school friends to be seeing me. I'm sure he spoke about me quite often, and I would find myself out in Joburg and they'd be like, yo bro, aren't you Khoro's younger brother? Yo bruh, I love that guy, man. But yeah, my brother was a very special individual. The person that stands here before you is really because of him. And he would kind of rub it in my face in a way that I didn't enjoy. He would look at me and say, I made you. And you know, as his younger brother, I'm not gonna take that. And naturally, that led to a lot of wars in the house. Because of him, I learned how to fight with words, with hands, with feet, with broomsticks. anything was uh, anything was allowed to be in that household when my brother came through. Yeah, I really wish I had like a prepared speech, but I mean, you never prepare for situations like this. Every space I would go into, I often didn't really have to introduce myself. I feel like my brother paved the way for me at primary school, at high school, at university. I was always Beans, Corey's younger brother. But he always would tell me that, nah, dude, like, I don't think you see how good you are or how great you are. Like you the better version of me. I just wish I could stay a little more grounded, a little more focused. But it was, since he's passing, it's been a bit weird in a sense because it's felt like, I mean, for the longest time, for 24 years, I've been, like he's been my hero, you know? But with stories from his, like, friends, family, I also started to realize that, like, I was his hero in a way, you know? And I know that he looked up to me. And so for the rest of at least my life, I promise before all of you today that I will honor my brother. I'll hold him in my heart, and I'll continue striving. You know, I'll reach that mountain, and then the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one, because that's what my brother would want me to do. You know. But for some light, my mom really loves this story. Growing up in an African household, you only as neat as I don't know how to put this, but like you only as handsome or as neat as your mother sees you to be, you know. And so there would be countless like weekends, me and my brother like spending time in the garden. When it rained, we would go outside. We used to have like bricks lying around our house, and we could make a game out of anything. First it was a passage, then it moved into the garden. But yeah, when it used to rain, we'd go out, pretend it was like the Champions League playing, recreating certain moments. Yeah, I really feel like my life was very different back then, but very special because of him. I had a brother, I had a best friend, I had a mentor, I had a leader, I had an everything in one person. But he's just relocated in here, you know, so I just want everyone to be reminded that like we all have like relationships with people in our lives, mother, daughter, sister, brother, boyfriend, husband, wife, you know, and there are many opportunities for us to like take leaps in those relationships, hold space, love, accept, forgive. And the worst thing that you would want is for someone to pass and then to want to make the leap. So I'm standing here before you today to just remind you to take that leap, even if it's for a friend that turned foe, an estranged, I don't know, relationship with someone that you didn't really like, but take that leap, you know. My brother was that, like he was a connection between many different people. At his past memorial, my mom commented that like there were people from different walks of life, hippies, intellects, rugby players, writers, scholars, chess players. Yeah, because that's who he was, you know. My brother touched everything, and when he touched it, it turned to gold. You know? He was an incredibly talented individual, and I'm really glad that you guys got the chance to like share this earth with him. I know that he really valued it, and he's looking over us every day, you know. But now for a funny story. This I kind of detoured. But I was saying that you're only as neat as your African mother knows you to be, and so we would, like play around in the garden on weekends, doing our thing, and then it would be school on the Monday. And then she's like, "Man, my boys look very untidy." And so what that meant was we had to get a haircut. And so we grew up in Benoni, and just not far from where we live, there's like a city center that's kind of like run down, and yeah, I wouldn't go there maybe past 9. But my family kind of, we love bargains, and so we didn't believe in spending more than 20 rand on a haircut. So naturally we jumped from barber to barber, and this one Sunday it was late. I think we clicked a bit late that we wanted our hair to be cut. So we went to our maybe customary barber. He was closed. Went to someone else who my dad sold products to, closed. And you know, like you have a relationship with your barber or the person who does your hair. It's a very intimate relationship. But we weren't afforded that when it was school on Monday. So then we pull up to this like the street. I don't even know what it's called, to be honest. Looking ragged, littering outside. It wasn't looking good. So me and my brother walk in. I don't know who was driving us. I don't think either of my parents were with us at the time. And me and my brother always, like when we went to a new place, we'd play Ching Chong Cha, like who's going first. And I remember, I think that time he had lost, so he had to sit in the seat. And I mean, if this guy didn't do a good job, I'm going to school with my hair cut like this, you know. Cool. So my brother sits there. The guy puts on the thing to like ensure that the apron, for lack of a better word. But you can already see from the man's setup, the clipper tied with elastic bands, things there on the table not ordered. You know when they spray the clipper, none of that going on there. So my brother there, stoic as always, staring in the mirror. What would you like, sir? Nah, just keep it simple. Just brush cut. And the gentleman who was cutting my brother's hair, I think he was like, he was of Nigerian descent. So there was maybe some things lost in translation. And my brother's hair was probably as long as mine now, and so when you make that first cut, there's no going back. And so this gentleman starts, and you can already hear when it clicks on, it goes, and when he first makes the first connection, it goes, carries on, but you can see the guy's a bit unsteady now, you know. My brother's also quite intimidating. When he's not upset, when he's not impressed, he's gonna tell you. And the gentleman continues trying with this clipper. And eventually, as he goes through maybe a thicker part of his hair, going, and it stops working. My brother looks at this guy. He's like, "Chief, what are you doing here? Do you have another clipper or what?" "Nah, dog, like, do you have another clip? Are you gonna fix this?" "What's happening now, my guy?" And you can imagine this Nigerian guy now is like, "Listen, says, listen, I can fix it. I can fix it, please." And I mean, that's the type of like brother I had. Like he, in the face of injustice, be it with a haircut or someone not treating another person as he deemed fair, he would definitely like stand up for that person. My brother was a very people person. He was super compassionate. He was, yeah, like he was everything, you know. And I'll dearly miss him. But I know that he's standing here with me today. I got home today from Cape Town, and my dad like approached me, showed me the program, and then he was like,
How is none of his siblings speaking here?
so I just nominated myself. But yeah, thank you for giving me the space to share. And it's been a blessing to be able to hold space for my brother and honor him. Yeah, and I really do love him. I love you, bro. Keep well. Yeah, thank you guys.
Yes, who are you? Elohim, the Lord our God. Oh, yeah, we are you.
Thank you very much. Just for the sake of time, I'm just gonna speed through this one so we can introduce Mr. Itani to come and pay his tribute for the family as well. As Bindu was mentioning some of the things he learned from Khoro, there's two things that I forgot to mention to you guys that Khoro also taught me about, and that was rice cakes and electrolytes. Hey? Electrolytes. I was like, what? Isn't we're taking a run? You know, like we're running after the run. It's like, yeah, good run. I think we just need to re-up on our electrolytes. I was like, we need to re-up on what? You know, I just heard elec. So to me, that's closer to electricity than anything else. You know, do you think it's safe? Do we need a plug like for this? But we'll keep it moving. Mr. Itani can come up just to share a few words about Khoro with us. Thank you.
Right. Good evening, everyone. I'm equally as surprised, Ma, that I'm Itani. I didn't know Itani, but it's fine. I'll take it. I'll take it. It's gonna be my care's name. Khoro. Khoro is my cousin. Maybe before I delve into Khoro, I just have a bone to pick, and I think it's very important that these things, as the headmaster did say, we must let these things out. And Joy, can I tell you a story? Yesterday, I was standing next to my uncle. He asked me, he called for me and said to me, "Can you please come and download Spotify for me?" So then I, as a diligent nephew, I ran towards my uncle, and then he gave me his phone. In him giving me his phone, he then said, it then locked. He started talking to Aunt Toko. Then the phone locked. So then, because it locked, obviously it needed facial recognition. So as I was trying to hand it back to him and say, can you open it so that I can go ahead and download Spotify? It was facing my face, so it kept saying facial recognition failed, facial recognition failed. right? So I'm saying, Malume, can you please assist with unlocking it? Then he says to me, and this is within the masses. This is all happening amongst the people. Then he says to me, oh no, it doesn't recognize ugly faces. You! You know what? That went straight to the core. It went straight to the core. But in my true nature, I said, this is happening amongst the people. I said, you know what? I'm not going to respond. But something said to me, you know what? Because it's amongst the people, I must have a bit of a response. Somehow I must say something. Then, as I was about to respond, Aunt Somi walks in her bubbly nature. She then says, how, pet, ungubani lo? And then he says, so he's forgotten that he's inflicted pain. So he then comes closer to me, and then he tries to sort of like, how, umchana? I did not have prepared any comeback, none whatsoever. You know, it was all taken care of, and I'm grateful for that. I kid, of course. I come here as Khoro's cousin. We were a very close-knit family. It's crazy, you know. As I was asked to speak, I've been saying to myself, what am I gonna say, and where do I start? If you saw Sizwe here, he hugged me quite tightly, and all he said, please don't cry, because you're gonna make me cry, and then the whole hall's gonna cry. So let's just avoid this cry situation. And I said to him, you know what, I've decided I don't really care anymore. It's fine, I'm gonna let it out, because Khoro was one of a kind. You know, as I was trying to think of how to describe my cousin, Khoro was top tier. I think all the speakers that spoke before me described my cousin. They described the Khoro that was at Kes, the Khoro that was at UCT, the Khoro that was at St. Columbus, and that was my cousin. And I can easily resonate with every single thing that was said, and I'm forever grateful to have been part of his experience. It just felt like I'm just grateful because his book is so big, because he's lived such a fruitful life and such a fulfilling life. And I'm saying, just in that little page, little chapter where I was part of, I am so grateful, and I'll forever be indebted, because he's made me and my fellow brothers and cousins, etc., be part of his chapter. You know, Khoro ran his first comrades last year, and I think testimony to the strength that I think was described by Sipho. He ran his first comrades last year, and we were all, as a family, we all booked flights, hired kumbis, and we drove down there. And in all in the interest of saying we're going to support Khoro from step by step. So as we were starting, normally we do it for my uncle, you know, because he's done 15 odd comrades. But when we were starting, we all knew for some odd reason that this year, it's a double whammy for us. It's literally going to be, you know, my uncle and our cousin. So when he was running, when he got to halfway, Drummond, Opie, the brother, is the one who's responsible for checking the times. So Opie will be the one that says, if this runner is here, Khoro should have passed already. That way, you know, some of us are just like, we're just waiting there with water, just waving. And then at some point at Drummond, Khoro, we knew Khoro was coming through. And then we saw him. I think I was part of the first batch, or second batch that saw him coming down. And then we kept, Khoro, Makhesha. Then he saw us. There's a video, I must say, there's video evidence here. Zuli. So he saw us, and then he goes, so he comes closer to the first batch. And he goes past, and he's just like, chill. I've got this. You know? And we're like, oh, my daughter, oh, okay. We don't have to worry. You know, we can go back, you know, to, you know, our cooler boxes. You know, we're good. Then this is being video taped. So then the dad was further down, and then the dad was the one that, my uncle was the one that was taking the video. So as he's approaching the dad, you could hear in the video, he says, he literally goes, and he goes to the dad and says, Daddy, I'm dying. Daddy, I'm dying. Daddy, I'm dying. And when we saw this video, we literally made fun of him so many times because of that video. But that was Khoro. I think he never lived life. His was just an experience. Like, I think in every single thing he did, he needed to do it differently, better. And I just, for me, as a brother / cousin, I always said to him, Mzwala, the last time I spoke to him over the phone, I was in Cape Town and I was in the car and I was with my girlfriend, and then we called him. And when we called him, I just wanted a place wherein we could get like a place to sit in Cape Town, just grab something. Actually, we wanted to just buy something to drink and then take away. When we called him, he answers and I say, hey, Mzwala, Makhesha. Then he says, hey, Kaz. Then I'm like, I'm in Cape Town, we're going to meet up like a day or 2 days after that. Then I say to him, yo, man, we're just looking for like somewhere we can just get a takeaway and, it's like drinks and then, go back to the room. Then he's like, hey, bro, Cape Town is bad. You're not going to get anything. You need to go to the Kasi. We're like, hi, bro, no, we sharp. I think it's not that bad. Okay, sharp. So like, okay, sharp. No, that's okay. Then I was graduating for my master's. Then we start talking about my master's. And then he says to me, what was your topic? Then I explained to him. Now, what's very funny is that the explanation of what I was researching only lasted about, give or take, a minute or two. This is what I'm researching. This was the outcome, and this is how I did it, qualitative, etc. Then he says, then I'm like, what are you? What's your focus area? What's your thesis going to be based on? That, it literally went on for a good hour. And he was literally explaining to me, almost word for word, what he's going to research, what he's going to prove, what he's meant to do, the contribution he's going to have. Like, it literally just went on. And I said to myself, no, man, you're not studying a master's. You are the masters. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, a lot of us have studied, but we just wanted to get through. We were like 50, Sizwe, we was like 15, like, no, we good. But Khoro became what he was doing. I was talking to Bindu earlier, and he was saying to me, the craziest thing about my brother, Bindu saying, craziest thing about my brother is that he became everything he did. And it was just crazy because everybody around us just looked at him, and he was a gold mine. I think that's undeniable. My cousin was a gold mine. He lived life to the fullest. He did things his own way. He ran his race. And as much as it pains me so much, I can't even begin to describe it. It's every time I think about it, I just tear up. Every time I think about it, I tear up. I said to Wundli, our cousin, I said, you know what, I've never experienced pain like this in my entire existence. Every single time, I've never woken up with tears in my eyes. I'm like, where did the crying start? Like, how is it that I just wake up with tears in my eyes? Like, where did the thought of, you know what I mean? Like, where did all of that start? It's just been so heavy. But with all that said, I'm so grateful, and I think most of us, or all of us in the family, are very grateful to have shared, or at least been part of Khoro's chapter. Just last parting shot, I had to search for a Bible verse, and Joyo, it's crazy, because yesterday I had to be like, okay, there's a verse, having been brought up in a Christian home. You always remember there's something there, that somewhere there's Hebrews and there's some, I'm like, I need to search for this thing. And my mom was right next to me. I'm like, I can't jump Isa here because I can't come across as if And then the verse I was looking for is Second Timothy. I just want to make sure. you know, I don't want to. I had it open. It's quite a common one. It's Second Timothy. It's Second Timothy 4 verse 7, and it says, "I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race, and I've kept the faith." My cousin did all three, and in an exceptional manner. Unfortunately, he did all three. He did not. He came. He saw. He redefined. He demolished what was there. He redefined it, and we all just need to pick up where he left off and make sure that we honor him in every corner or every possible way. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for honoring my cousin. Thank you.
Khoro. Okay, guys. So next we're gonna have a vote of thanks from a family member. And just before we do that, I heard Khoro's cousin just mentioning, how compassionate and friendly and loving Khoro was, and I just took me a bit of a while to kind of pick that up because of how hardcore he was in certain times or certain areas of our sporting careers. Him and Godfrey actually had this in common. Maybe Marco a little bit as well. I don't know what it was all about, but these guys were very non-responsive to difficult times. They encouraged you to endure things. I'd run with Khoro and I'd on the run I'd tell him, boy, I'm dying right now. Like what's happening with you? Just to catch up a bit and just keep running. You didn't say anything back. I'm like, boy, I said I am dying right now. What do you have to say about that? Just to keep it moving. Our next speaker from the family, vote of thanks. Itani killed me for pronouncing his name wrong earlier. So now I need to make sure over here, Mr. Khuliso. Thank you very much, sir. I got the name right?
Your name is Jesus.
Your name is Jesus.
Yeah.
My Redeemer.
Good evening, everybody. Yeah, you pronounced the name right. But you picked the easier one. You should have tried. You should have tried the surname as well. I'm aware that the hour is a bit advanced now, so I'll try to be judicious with time. A young man, a boy, was walking with his father. And the boy said, Dad, I'm curious. What does it feel like to be drunk? When a person is drunk, what kind of feeling do they have? The father said, it's a very interesting experience to be drunk, because you tend to see things in doubles. If you see a car coming, you would see two cars. Or if you are driving, you see a tree, you will see two trees. Then he said, "No, son, can you see those two people walking there? If you were drunk, you would be seeing four." So the boy said, "But Dad, which two people are you talking about? I see one. I see one person. So if I say anything untoward, it is because I'm drunk. I'm intoxicated with all the speeches that were given here today, because this reveals to us a lot of things that we did not know about our son. We always knew he was a nice, well-mannered young man, but we did not know that he was such a great young man, to use a paradox. He passed on at the age of 28. I studied English literature, and there's a period in English literature called the Romantic period. One of the most prominent poets of the period was John Keats, a prolific writer of poetry, studied all over the world in departments of English. He died at the age of 25. Then there was Percy Shelley, died at 28. There was George Gordon Byron, who wrote a poem that I studied, long poem, around 400 pages, one poem, Don Juan. Died at the age of 40. Then you had great men in history. Martin Luther King Jr. died at the age of 40. You had Malcolm X, died at the age of 40, which is considered young, at least compared to me. So, all the things that we've been hearing about Khoro here today are very instructive and chastening. We are instructed and chastened. And in a manner of speaking, we begin to learn to question assumptions and to interrogate generalizations. Because we're hearing very good stories and very wonderful anecdotes about our son. We would have loved to have had this company until some of us are no more. When I look at everyone here, I see only one or two people that may be older than I am. But at the age of 28, there is no way at the age of 28 that I would have been able to pull a crowd like this at my memorial service. I passed on at that age. So we have here a great man. We are so thankful to the Lord for having given us this wonderful life. We are thankful to the parents for raising him in the manner that they did. We are thankful to this school for making such a mammoth contribution to what he became. Khoro will remain part of us. He will remain us. And I want to believe that in the periodization of the history of this school, his name will remain indelibly changed. And some of the people that are here today do not know him. They have never really met him. They are here because of what they have heard. They are here because they wanted to know more about him. And for this, we thank you very much. We also thank the school for allowing the family and his mates to come together in this manner to reminisce about this wonderful life. We thank you very much, and by way of announcement, Khoro's funeral service takes place on Saturday in Benoni. What is the name of the church, by the way? Methodist Church, Central Methodist Church. The service will start punctually at 8 in the morning, and we will be glad to see some of you there. But even if you are not able to make it, we know you will be with us in spirit. Thank you very much.
Okay, guys, it's 6 o'clock now, and I know that Orbs has his dinner around this time. I'm gonna save time and just call Caesar up to bring some closure to this beautiful day. I was truly honored to have had the opportunity to be an MC at one of Khoro's memorial services. Thank you to everybody who came. Thank you to everyone who made the time, made the sacrifice, and I hope to be seeing everybody on Saturday. Caesar, you can take it from here. Thanks.
Khoro. Thank you to everybody that was able to make it out today. Thank you, ma'am. Baba. Beans. Duduzi. Opie. Siyanibonga. And thank you for allowing us to share memories of Khoro today. You can all see how full this room is. This is a sign of who Khoro is. Love, pure love. I don't have many more words as I'll be speaking on Saturday at the funeral, but my heart is shattered. But my boy, Khoro, you will continue to live in our hearts. Thank you for being amazing. Rest now, my brother. Rest, Toretto. To my brothers, to my case boys, Khoro is now a son of this place. I call my case boys to the front to do it one more time for the boy. Let's do it last time for the boy. Can my brothers please come forward? And as my brothers come to the front, we ask the OG Walker man, Man Q Mangoba, to take leave for us. everybody could please step outside for some refreshments. That will be all for tonight. And again, the family thanks everybody for coming.
chosen generation.